In a world of shimmering sands and forgotten mountains, in a small village erased from most maps, a story was born. Not of kings or gods, but of a boy named Ken. Life had dealt him a cruel hand. He had no parents, only the faint, haunting memory of a home consumed by the flames of a war he was too young to understand. He learned early that fairness is a luxury, and compassion is often scarcer than a loaf of bread. Elyas grew up in the shadow of ruins, a collapsed house, his only shelter, and a gnawing hunger his constant companion. The other children, with their families and their games, looked at him with a mix of pity and suspicion. He had no toys, no books, no guiding hand, only dreams. But within his young eyes, a fire burned. It was a fierce determination, a deep thirst for dignity that even the most crushing misery could not extinguish. Every day was a lesson. He watched the men of the village, observing the stark lines that divided them. Some lived in comfort, wrapped in fine cloths, while others lived in constant fear. Their shoulders slumped under the weight of oppression. He saw injustice, raw and unfiltered. He saw the weak trampled by the powerful, their peace lost in the desert wind. A feeling he couldn't yet name began to stir in his heart, a quiet, simmering rebellion. At 12 years old, the village could no longer hold him. Elyas decided to leave. He walked for days, his small feet carrying him across endless landscapes, his only companions the sun, the stars, and the gnawing emptiness in his stomach. He faced hunger, thirst, and a solitude so profound it could break a grown man. It was on this grueling journey that destiny intervened. He stumbled upon an old hermit named Samir, a man whose weathered face held the wisdom of 1,000 battles fought and lessons learned. A former soldier who had traded his sword for silence, Samir saw something extraordinary in the boy's eyes, that same unyielding fire. Moved by his spirit, the old sage took him in. Samir became the father Elyas never had. He taught him everything he knew. How to fight, not with rage, but with precision. How to think, not just with logic, but with empathy. How to observe the world, to see the patterns others missed. And most importantly, Samir taught him the hardest lesson of all, never to hate blindly. He instilled in Elyas that vengeance is a poison, but justice is a remedy. Under Samir's patient guidance, Elyas transformed. He learned to wield the staff with the grace of a dancer and the force of a storm. He mastered the sword, its steel an extension of his will. But the most powerful weapon he learned to wield was the power of words, the ability to inspire, to reason, and to unite. The old man's voice echoed in his training. A true warrior does not seek war, Samir would say. He seeks justice. These words became the creed that would guide Elyas for the rest of his life. Years melted away like snow in the spring. The boy became a man, strong, quick-witted, and wise beyond his years. The day came when his mentor Samir drew his last breath. He left Elyas not with gold or land, but with a final simple message whispered on the wind. Never let injustice become the law of the world. With those words burning in his soul, Elyas set out once more. This time, he wasn't running away from his past. He was running toward his purpose. He traveled from city to city, from one dusty village to the next, a solitary figure on a mission. He became a shield for the defenseless, a voice for the voiceless. He defended farmers from cruel lords who sought to steal their land. He freed captives from the dungeons of corrupt officials. He stood firm against soldiers who had forgotten their duty to protect the innocent. Whispers of his deeds traveled faster than he did. People began to speak of him, not by name, but by his actions. They called him the warrior of justice, the nameless guardian, a phantom of hope who appeared when all seemed lost. His presence was like a spark in the darkness, rekindling the courage of the oppressed. But beneath the hardened armor and the fiery gaze, the wounds of his childhood remained. In the quiet of the night, when the world was asleep, he would sometimes see the reflection of a small, frightened boy crying amongst the ruins. But these memories no longer held the power to break him. Instead, they fueled his resolve. He had learned one of life's most profound truths. Suffering is not an end. For those who refuse to surrender, it is a beginning. It forges the spirit into something unbreakable. Elyas became a legend, a story told by parents to their children around crackling fires. Some said he was immortal, a spirit sent to balance the scales of the world. Others dismissed him as a myth, a tale woven to give the desperate a sliver of hope. But for those whose lives he had touched, for those he had saved from the brink, he was real. He was the hand that pulled them up, the shadow that stood between them and despair. He never sought glory. He never wanted a throne or a title. All he ever sought was peace, the simple, quiet peace he had been denied as a child. And in the bright, hopeful eyes of the children he saved, he saw something he had never known for himself. The promise of a future, a world where a child could just be a child. To those he helped, He would often say, "I am not a hero. I am just a man who refused to stay silent in the face of wrong." Years later, the nameless warrior, the boy who had faced the world alone and found his purpose in defending it, finally found his rest. His name was never carved into monuments or written in the grand histories of kings, but it was etched forever into the hearts of the people. He became an eternal symbol, a testament to a timeless truth. Justice is not born from power, but from the simple, unwavering courage of a single soul. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more tales that inspire and remind us of the power we all hold within. Until next time.